The first important feature of Vue.js is text interpolation, also known as the Mustache notation. Let's go to VS Code. Let me create a Git branch for this Vue concept, so it will be easier for you to review the code later. Git branch, Mustache notation, Git switch to Mustache notation. Okay, so pay attention to the lower left corner of VS Code. Now we're on branch Mustache notation. Next, let me start the project. npm run dev. Let me put my VS Code and Google Chrome side by side. Text interpolation, or Mustache notation, allows us to embed JavaScript expressions into HTML. So first, let me define a JavaScript variable here in the script. Let message is equal to hello Vue. And then let me delete line number 2 and replace it with h1. All right, let me ask you a question. Using vanilla.js, how do we render this JavaScript variable in this h1 element? Well, we need to first use getElementById to find this HTML element, right? So this is a DOM operation. Then we're going to use .innerHTML equal to message, which is pretty tedious. This becomes very simple in Vue.js. In the template, all we need to do is to use something called the Mustache notation and put the name of this JavaScript variable there. When I save, as you can see, the application reloads and it shows the content in this JavaScript variable message, hello Vue. All right, so you can think of this Mustache notation as a placeholder, and this placeholder will be replaced with a value we defined in the script when the application starts. In this case, message is a string. What about a number? For example, here I define a variable called number is equal to 50. How do I use this number in the template? Same, by using Mustache notation. So here, let me insert a line here and use h1, and let me call this number. Also, let me put a message here. So this message will be printed as is. This number will be printed as is. Now, this Mustache notation will be evaluated to the content in message and number. What about a method call? So let's say here I define a method, function double number. And it returns number times 2. Okay, so up here, h1 double number, we're going to pass 50 to it. Double number 50. So text interpolation, or the Mustache notation, makes variables and methods defined in the script directly usable in the template. Here you can think of the template is declared in the same scope as the script down here. It naturally has access to everything declared alongside it. Vue also supports evaluating JavaScript expressions inside the Mustache notation. So for example, number times 2 is equal to, and here is a Mustache notation, and we're going to put a JavaScript expression number times 2, which is 100, as you can see here. And let me show you another example of evaluating JavaScript expressions. So here we're going to use ternary operator. If number is greater than 150, and render number is greater than 150. Otherwise, render number is less than 150. Save. So if this is true, this will be rendered. Otherwise, this will be rendered. As you can see now, it is showing number is less than 150. But if I change this one to, for example, 350 and save, as you can see, everything updates. So let me change it back. What about JavaScript objects and arrays? Can we render them in the template? Sure thing. Let's define an object, an array, in the script. I've already copied the JavaScript object and the JavaScript array. So paste here. So let me scroll up. So here I have a JavaScript object, Harry, with ID, name, house, age. This object even has a nested object, wand, which has its own property, core, and wood. Now down here is a list of wizards. So for example, here is Harry Potter, Hermione, Ron Weasley, and Draco Malfoy. So let's scroll all the way up to the template. And we can print this entire JavaScript object. So let's put Harry in this mustache notation, save. Okay, as you can see here, we have Harry, and it is printed as a JSON object. We can also print only Harry's name by using harry.name. Okay, as you can see here is Harry Potter. And of course, you can use .age, .house, or .wand, and so on and so forth. Now, what about array? H1, remember the array name is Hogwarts Wizards. Save. As you can see here, it is rendered as a JSON array. Or we can access one element in this array. For example, the first one. Like down here, that's Harry. So the idea is very simple. Basically, we're binding data that we define in the script to the template using mustache notation. Before we wrap up, I want to show you another two ways to data binding, Vue-text and Vue-HTML. Vue.js extends HTML syntax with HTML attributes called Vue directives. A Vue directive starts with prefix v- to indicate that they're not standard attributes of HTML, but they are special attributes provided by Vue. They can only be used in Vue.js. You cannot use it elsewhere. So let me show you how to use that. First, Vue-text. So here, we have H1. Now this time, instead of using, for example, like a number, right? Like number. Let me put the HR here as well. Okay. Instead of doing this, what I can do is, let me delete the mustache notation and use this special HTML attribute provided by Vue.js called v-text equal to a JavaScript variable or expression or an object, or an array. Anything that you can put in a mustache notation. And in this case, we're going to put number. Save. As you can see, it is equivalent to the mustache notation. The next directive I want to introduce is called Vue-HTML. Because the mustache notation and Vue-text, they interpret the data you put there as plain text. Sometimes we want them to output real HTML code. Then you need to use this Vue-HTML directive. So here is the example. So let's go down here. And let me define a variable called let raw HTML is equal to, for example, span. And here I'm going to close the span. Style is equal to, color is red. This should be red. As you can see, the content of this variable is HTML snippet. Okay. Then let's scroll up. And in here, so if I use h1, mustache notation, raw HTML, so down here, it will print it as is. Vue will not interpret this as HTML code. And so does Vue-text. h1, Vue-text, raw HTML. Same thing here. All right, next I'm going to show you Vue-HTML. h1, Vue-HTML, raw HTML. All right, so save. Now, here, this should be red is rendered instead of the HTML snippet. According to Vue's official documentation, dynamically rendering arbitrary HTML on your website can be very dangerous because it can easily lead to cross-site scripting vulnerabilities. So only use Vue-HTML on trusted content and never on user-provided content. Next is Hogwarts shopping cart time. Let's apply what we just learned, the mustache notation, to this small project. Okay, it's Hogwarts shopping cart time. In the last video, we successfully created the Hogwarts shopping cart project in Vue.js. But unfortunately, everything here is still hard-coded, like Harry's shopping cart, all the product names, and so on and so forth. Let's apply what we just learned to refactor the code here. Let's go to VS Code. Let me remind you now we're in project Hogwarts shopping cart. First, let's define a variable called username to store Harry. Then, let's define an array to store the 5 items in the shopping cart. So let's scroll all the way down to the script. Well, as you can see, it is kind of inconvenient to scroll up and down, right? So what I'm going to do next is to split my screen here. So the above part shows the template. And this part here only shows the JavaScript. Like here. And here I'm going to define a variable called username is equal to Harry. Okay. Since we define it here, I no longer need to hard code it here. Instead, I'm going to use the mustache notation to refer to this JavaScript variable. Save. Now, as you can see, it has the same effect. And next, let me define an array. And let's call it shopping cart items. I've already copied the array. So here I'm going to paste it. So this is dragon liver, golden snitch, unicorn tail hair, wand. The last one is Nimbus 2000. Okay. All right. Next, let's go to the template. Here we hard-coded the image src, the image alt, the product name, price, status, also the number here. Like here's 3, here is 3. Okay. So first, let's use Mustache notation to replace dragon lever. This is shopping cart items. The first one dot product name. Save. Okay, as you can see, dragon lever is here. Okay. Next, for price. So let me delete this 1500 and use Mustache notation. Shopping cart items 0 dot price. Okay, the price. Okay, so for now, we cannot render in stock or on back order. We cannot put quantity and the image URL in. We'll solve those problems in the next video when we talk about Vue-bind directive. Also, as you can see, it is kind of tedious to manually put all 5 items in the template. What I mean by that is, for the first one, I use shopping cart item 0.product name. Then I scroll down here. And we'll replace this one with shopping cart items brackets 1 dot product name, and so on and so forth. Apparently, this is not practical, right? There got to be an easier way, of course. But for now, let's do that. Brackets 1 dot product name, shopping cart 1 dot price. Okay, I will change the rest offline. Now, for the order summary, let's leave it here for now. We haven't learned the technique to calculate the order summary. Don't worry, we'll get there. Now let's get back to Learn Vue 3 with Bingyang project. I added some comments in app.vue and well formatted it. Let's do a summary here. Vue utilizes the double curly braces syntax. We call that Mustache notation to denote the places within the template where data should be interpolated. Whatever is inside the braces is treated as a JavaScript expression, and Vue will evaluate it and insert the result into the DOM at the respective location. Text interpolation, or the Mustache notation, is a fundamental concept used to bind data from the script to the template. It abstracts away most of the direct DOM operations for you. So no more get element by ID. Just define the data in the script and use it inside the Mustache notation. Okay, next, let me commit and push the changes to GitHub. Git add, git commit, text interpolation, git push. Since this is the first time we push this branch, I have to use this. All right. And let me switch back to main branch. In the next video, we'll talk more about data binding. See you there.